They were coming off 3 games in 4 nights on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Their roster was depleted. They had nothing. Like, Cade was tired. Everyone was tired. They didn't have much.
I bet he was
talent out
tired.
there.
46 get you tired.
Yeah, and I look at most of his
sure.
shots. We can all be 1000% honest. The guy shot terribly. Like, we're not gonna dress that up in any other way than you missed 31 shots. You did not shoot the ball well.
46 points, triple-double, 5 steals, career night, and at the same time, the worst shooting performance in NBA history. November 13th, 2024, Detroit Pistons versus Washington Wizards. Cade Cunningham walks onto that court and proceeds to miss 31 shots. That's a new NBA record, breaking Kobe Bryant's previous mark of 30 missed shots in a single game. But here's the twist. The Pistons won, and Cade, he finished with 46 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 5 steals, and 2 blocks. Only the second player ever alongside Michael Jordan to record a 40-point triple-double with 5 steals. Let me paint the picture. With 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Detroit was down 8 points. Washington thought they had it locked up. Then Cade took over. He hit a 3, got a steal, pushed it in transition for a layup, hit another 3. Suddenly it's a 2-point game. He kept attacking, kept getting to the line, and dragged his depleted team to overtime. In overtime, you could see the exhaustion. His legs were gone, but he kept attacking, kept making plays. When the final buzzer sounded, he'd played 43 minutes and taken 45 shots. It was ugly. It was beautiful. It was winning basketball. And here's the craziest part. While Cade was doing all this offensively, Detroit's defense kept them in it. They held Washington under 100 points in regulation. They forced turnovers that led to easy buckets. They contested everything. The offense got the headlines, but the defense won the game. How do you miss 31 shots and still dominate? And what does this tell us about what's actually happening in the NBA right now? Because the Detroit Pistons, yes, Detroit, are sitting at 10 wins and 2 losses with a 7-game winning streak. The entire league is being flipped upside down. If you're here for real NBA analysis without the hot takes, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. You need to understand where Detroit's been. The last time the Pistons were this relevant was 2008 when they made the Eastern Conference Finals. That's 16 years ago. The Bad Boys era, the championship teams, that feels like ancient history. Just 2 years ago, Detroit won 14 games. They were the worst team in the league. Rock bottom. Cade was dealing with injuries. The roster was a mess. There was no identity. But something changed this offseason. JB Bickerstaff came in and installed a philosophy. Defense first. Not just good defense, elite, suffocating, bad boys defense. He looked at this roster and saw what everyone else missed. Long, athletic, switchable defenders everywhere. Oscar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland II, Cade Cunningham, who's actually solid when locked in, and Jalen Duren protecting the rim. Bickerstaff told them, this is who we are now. This is our identity. And they bought in completely. Now, they're 11-2, 8 straight wins, top 10 defense and top 10 offense. They're beating good teams. This isn't a fluke. This is a franchise rebuilt from the ground up.
The Detroit Pistons are unstoppable right now. They're on a 7-game win streak. And speaking of teams with limited offenses, with a point guard that has to shoulder the load of everything, Cade Cunningham is doing exactly that. He just got the Player of the Week last week in the Eastern Conference. Cade was averaging 31 points. They went undefeated, 4-0. Once again, he was averaging 31 points, 9.8 assists, and shot 54% from the field. Cade Cunningham is playing spectacular right now. Along with Jalen Duren, they seem like a dynamic duo that is going to be scary in the East, not just for this year, but for the foreseeable future.
That night against Washington, they didn't have Tobias Harris, no Jaden Ivey, no Isaiah Stewart. Karis LeVert was out. 3rd game in 4 nights. This was supposed to be a schedule loss. That's why Cade took 45 shots. You've got a depleted roster. You're exhausted, and you're the only legitimate shot creator on the floor. Cade understood the assignment. He shot them back into the game. He pushed them to overtime. Yeah, he was inefficient, but he got them the win. That's what stars do. But Cade's not even the most impressive Piston right now. Jalen Duren just turned 22 years old. This season, he's averaging 19 points and 12 rebounds while playing only 29 minutes a game. In a recent episode of the NBA Daily podcast, analyst Zena Cade compared him to what she called baby Dwight Howard, and it's not far off. The shoulders, the athleticism, the rim running dominance, it's all there. He and Cade have developed this pick and roll chemistry that's tough to stop. They were the best alley-oop duo in the league last season, and they've gotten better this year. When Cade has the ball at the top and Duren starts rolling, defenses are in trouble. The scary part, he's only 3 years into his career. His free throw percentage jumped from 61% as a rookie to 80% this year. That's real improvement. Multiple analysts agree that the Pistons are one player away from being legitimate contenders. Add someone like Jaren Jackson Jr., and suddenly you've got a starting five that can compete with anybody in the East. How did they get here? They drafted Cade first overall in 2021. They took Duren in 2022. They surrounded them with complementary pieces and hired the right coach. They trusted the process, they stayed patient, and now it's paying off. Here's what most people are missing about Detroit. This isn't just a young team getting better. This is a complete defensive transformation. The Pistons are currently a top 10 defense in the NBA. A team that won 14 games 2 years ago is now one of the best defensive teams in the league. They're holding opponents to low percentages at the rim. They're forcing turnovers, they're contesting everything, and it's not by accident, it's by design. JB Bickerstaff built this identity from day one. He came from Cleveland, where he ran a switch-heavy defensive system, but Detroit has even better pieces for what he wants to do. Start with the personnel. This roster is built perfectly for modern defense. Ausar Thompson is one of the most disruptive perimeter defenders in the league. He ranks near the top in steals and defensive impact metrics. Isaiah Stewart was one of the best rim protectors before getting injured, and he's shooting over 50% from three. Ron Hollendecken brings that same length and versatility. Then there's Jalen Duren. He's not just a rim runner on offense, he's an elite rim protector. When guys attack the basket against Detroit, Duren is there. He changes shots, he blocks shots, he makes everything difficult in the paint. But here's what makes their defense special. It directly fuels their offense. When Detroit gets stops, they push immediately. They force turnovers and turn them into fast breaks. Duren runs the floor like a deer. Ausar Thompson is flying in transition. Cade pushes the pace. This creates easy buckets before the defense can set up. That's why Duren's averaging 19 points in only 29 minutes. He's getting layups and dunks in transition off defensive stops. Zena Cade pointed out in her analysis that there's intentionality in how they defend. As she described it, Cade harasses ball handlers, they communicate on switches, they don't overhelp, and there's real discipline, especially in transition defense. It's a positive feedback loop. Good defense creates transition offense. Transition offense builds confidence. Confidence leads to better defense, and the whole thing snowballs. The culture piece matters too. Like, every player has bought in. Like, stars, role players, rookies, everyone commits to the same defensive effort every night. That's Bickerstaff's influence. And here's the beautiful part. They're connecting it to their legacy. The Bad Boys. The championship teams of 1989 and 1990 built on toughness and defense. The 2004 team with Ben Wallace that held opponents under 70 points in the finals. That's Detroit basketball. Hard-nosed, physical, defensive-minded. These young players have embraced that history. When Ausar Thompson pressures full court, when Duren swats a shot, when Cade takes a charge, that's Bad Boys basketball. And Detroit fans recognize it. But it's not just Detroit. The entire league is upside down. Though understand this, what's happening in Detroit is special because of their defensive identity. Other teams are having surprising starts. Detroit is building something sustainable because defense travels. Tyrese Maxey is playing 41 minutes per game with Philadelphia, the most any player has averaged in over 10 years. He's putting up 33 points and 8 assists while carrying the Sixers without Embiid and Paul George. His efficiency is actually better than Allen Iverson's MVP season. Victor Wembanyama dropped 38 points in 3 quarters once De'Aaron Fox came back from injury. Guards matter. Fox runs pick and rolls with Wemby that create open shots for teammates. The Houston Rockets are 7-3 without a traditional point guard because Alperen Şengün and Kevin Durant are running pick and rolls that are tough to defend. Meanwhile, Cam Johnson went from hot trade commodity to averaging 8 points on 37% shooting with Denver. The Phoenix Suns are 5-5 and playing solid defense. The Clippers are 3-6 and ranked 29th in transition defense. Everything we thought we knew is being challenged. Let's put Detroit in perspective. Oklahoma City built around Shai and got good faster. Houston added veterans like Fred VanVleet and Kevin Durant. Orlando has Paolo and Franz building something interesting. What makes Detroit's approach unique is the timeline and the identity. They didn't rush it. They didn't trade for a veteran star. They let Cade and Duren develop together. They hired the right coach and brought in complementary pieces. It took longer than OKC's rebuild, but they might end up with the highest ceiling of any young core in the East.
I think this is like very thoroughly the 4th or 5th best team in the Eastern Conference, depending on who you talk to. And so they're locked into the East playoffs, in my opinion. I think they're right there, especially with this young group getting better. I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And to me, the reason I would take the over is just like, I believe in Cade Cunningham. Like, I think he's going to continue to take steps. Like, he's the exact kind of player that you want leading your team. He's a 6'6" guard that is going to handle most of your possessions. And he was 7th in MVP voting last year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, he made a massive leap in his 4th season. And I think like he is going to continue to get better.
Let's come back to where we started. Cade Cunningham missing 31 shots and still dominating. That game wasn't about efficiency. It was about will. It was about a young star understanding the moment and refusing to let his team lose. That's the mentality Detroit needs to make the leap from good team to great team. And here's why this matters for the playoffs. Defense travels. Offense can be inconsistent. Shooters go cold. But if you can defend at an elite level every single night, you're always going to have a chance. Detroit has that now. They can switch everything. They protect the rim. They force turnovers. They turn defense into offense. That's a formula that works in April and May when games slow down and every possession matters. Because the Eastern Conference is there for the taking. Detroit, with this core and one more high-level addition, could be right in the mix. Imagine if they could get a Pascal Siakam type, a versatile forward who can score at all 3 levels. Suddenly you've got multiple pick and roll options, Duren cleaning up inside, and a defense that can switch and protect the rim. That's a finals caliber team. The lesson here is about patience. Trust your young stars, build around your core, don't panic and blow things up. Detroit did it right. They stayed the course, and the results are showing. Here's what matters from all of this. Cade Cunningham's 46-point, 31-miss game wasn't a disaster. It was a statement. A young star saying, I'm not letting us lose whatever it takes. Jalen Duren averaging 19 and 12 on limited minutes isn't a fluke. It's a 22-year-old developing into a force. The Pistons' 7-game winning streak isn't luck. It's patient team building, elite defense, and player development paying off. The NBA is shifting right now. Teams we expected to struggle are winning. Young players are taking big leaps, and defense is making the difference. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment. Are the Pistons for real? Can they actually make a deep playoff run this year? And was Cade's 45-shot game impressive or concerning? If you want deeper dives and content that actually explains what's happening instead of just hot takes, this is your spot. We're building something here, and I want you to be part of it. The Pistons are 11-2. Cade and Duren are rising. The East is wide open, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.